Hey guys, welcome back to another NRL Fantasy Fanatics podcast. We're here with NRL Fantasy Amateur special guest Mark. How are you, mate?
Living the dream, brother. How you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for being here with us, mate.
That's all right. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so pretty much we'll just go from my side to start with. So pretty much ranked 1.5k right now. With these trades in mind, I don't know if I'm set on them, but yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on them quickly.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm pretty lucky to have both of those guys who you are bringing in my team already. Preston, one that obviously a lot of people bought with the hope of having him available in round 16. Looks like that's not going to be the case. And never too early to bring in a top one player at the position in Ewan Aiken, who only
Yeah,
misses one more round, and it's his a standalone buy. So
yeah, I do think that I'm not sold on selling Lachlan Galvin. But I think
mhm.
Preston's out for 2 to 4 weeks, which it's long enough for me. Like I wanted him for that round 16 buy, and he's not there, so I'm moving him on to two people there for the round 16 buy.
Yeah, obviously, the decision to hold or sell Galvin's a big one that can sort of make or break people's seasons at the moment. But looking at the rest of your team, the only other player that you have there that you might think about moving on is maybe like an Ethan Strange or something like that. But
Yeah.
obviously, that leaves you with not enough cash to do what you want to do.
Well, I held Strange last week for the buy just because I thought it gave me more coverage in the halves, and then with this week bringing in Ewan Aiken, it means I can field a full team from mid down. So I'm only missing a hooker for next week, which is the reason I
Yeah.
held Strange.
Yep. No, that makes sense.
Well, within my side, who I've been going 50-50 on Hughes, Aiken, or Yo captaincy. Who would you stick with?
Um, Mate, that's a good question. I think the Wars game against for Hughes is pretty sort of tough. I think the base stats of Aiken probably gets him there for me. I know a lot of the guys in my intern crew put the Aiken C captain on a couple of weeks ago. I'm really happy with that. Obviously Hughes has the ceiling, and with Munster out, he gets a little bit of a boost on the floor. But obviously, Yo is a really high floor, high ceiling option. So it really depends on whether you're looking for a floor, a ceiling, or sort of something between the two. But Yo's hard to go past with a 60 plus average and a pretty consistent floor and ceiling.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I just think for me, Jerome Hughes could either get 40 or he could get a 75-80, which is the reason
Mhm.
I'm leaning towards Hughes just for that big game. When Yo, he hasn't scored less than 55 this year. And I think
Mhm.
Yo probably gets a 60, not an 80. But
Yeah, when you consider that a lot of the other teams will be running either a Nico Hines or a David Fafita, you're probably looking for a ceiling this week.
Yeah, and then the one other question I had is with I could also go for a Jack Whiting and a David Fafita bring in this week. Would you just stick it with
Mhm.
Samuel Afenu and Aiken, considering their coverage they have both in the edge and center, and then the edge and
Uh,
middle, and they don't have a buy again because I'm looking at it with me missing Keon Kalonga Matangi and Garrick already in round 17. If I add Fafita and Whiting, that'd be four without the Origin players already out.
Yeah, I'm definitely running the gauntlet a little bit myself in round 17. So I've got Trell, Fafita, Garrick, and Whiten. So I'm going to be rolling the dice there, but yeah, I think I probably would be aiming to try to have three of those guys, not four. So I think I probably prefer the options that you've locked in.
Yeah, that's what I think. And they don't have a buy, like a big buy list. Like the round 18 buy is not really much of a biggie, considering I only have Plath and Aiken.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just gone on this Excel document. You see the teams you'd really be looking to target this week are the Tigers, and you got the Titans and the Bunnies. I'd look to target them. I think you're steering clear of the Cowboys just with their buy schedule. Um, I do think that the Wires have a good schedule here. This the one round 19 bye. You're not really looking for them, I don't think. Uh the Broncos, I think you're steering clear of right now. The Sharks, you're not steering clear of them. The Storm, yeah, they got a very good schedule. You're looking towards them. I'd only really be looking towards a couple of their players though. The Knights, you're not buying this week. The Panthers, you're holding off for the Sea Eagles. they're looking to buy them. The Dogs, not this week, but next week. The Eels, you're not looking to buy them. But I got the Raiders, Dolphins, and Roosters you're looking to buy this week, I'd say.
Yeah, so obviously there's some of those teams that only have one bye left. Some of the others have two. So, for example, like the Dolphins, probably the number one team to try to target if you can, being that they only have the one bye and it's that standalone bye round. That's obviously a massive advantage. Unfortunately, for the large part, they're not really that fantasy relevant. It's really just Max Plath, Ewan Aitken, and maybe Jeremy Marshall King.
Yeah.
But Raiders are in a similar position. They're only missing 19. You got Tarpany there, who I'm really hot on this week, but can't quite bring the thing to drop myself down to 4 trades and bring him in because he is obviously a bit risky with the Ricky minutes.
I think we all have low trades too.
And then the Storm, obviously, it's basically just Jerome Hughes, and there's not really anybody else you want to buy, and maybe Eli Katoa. And then obviously the Wars have Adam Fanua-Blake and Tohu Harris and Sean Johnson, but Tohu and Sean Johnson, big break evens this week, and Adam sort of at the top of his price. So it's kind of a bit of a weird, I find it's a weird week to try to identify like really good players to buy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably picked two of the better ones there in Fainu and Aiken, I think, though.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Aiken's just close to a must-have. Like, I know he's at the top of his price, but he's just been pumping out scores. And for 140K different, I think that's why I've got him over Fafita.
But yeah, it's the number one positional difference as well, and no danger of origin as opposed to Fafita, who realistically, I mean, he's the sort of the first drop there.
Yeah.
So
pretty much we've got for the Wars, I think you'd be looking to buy SJ, AFB, Tohu, Ford, and Chancellor Klukstad. Probably be the 5 that I'd target. Just with SJ, I think he's got a high break even. And then AFB, as you said, top of his price. Tohu again, high break even. Not really getting the minutes too. He only got 49 last week. His knees, they're giving in. I think it's a bit too risky for me. Along with Ford, what's going on with him? Like, he's playing at middle now for prop, and then like he'll go back to the edge. And I think you steer clear of him. So really the only ones in this team I'm looking for this week is AFB and Chancellor Klukstad, with Chance has been killing it recently.
Yeah, Chance concerns me a little bit because he's never really been a gun, and he does go through sort of streaky patches, and I wonder if maybe he's just hit a bit of form, although he did get the 53 without a try against the Panthers, although he's got 19 tackles in there because he was actually playing in the halves, so that base was a little bit higher. I would be strongly suggesting for that much cash, I'd be probably targeting like a James Tedesco or something like that.
Yeah.
He's not that much more expensive, misses the same amount of weeks. Say he misses 19, same as Chance, and then has a buy in 23 or whatever instead of 27. But yeah, I'd probably be more targeting a Tedesco in the money.
So you don't believe that Tedesco will get the call up back for Origin in round 16?
Nah, if Edwards is fit, he's in.
Yeah, and then talking us through Hines and Moses situation, who do you reckon gets that 7 spot for them?
We had a spirited debate about this on the podcast last night. Ryan's in the Hines camp. He didn't think he did too much wrong. I firmly believe though that if Moses had been fit for game 1, or had have played in round 12, he would have played game 1 State of Origin with Luai. I think they picked Hines because they had to. I don't know if he's got the temperament for State of Origin. He's good in club games. He's obviously a great player and a great guy, great sort of role model and all that sort of stuff. But some players just don't have that extra gear that you need to have in Origin. I think Moses has it. I don't think Nico does, and I think Madge is aware of that and is going to go with Moses.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a bit tough with Hines getting dropped. Like, he didn't do much wrong, but I do think Moses, he hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but he hasn't been playing terribly. I do believe that a lot resting this weekend, though. Like, if Hines can go out and have a good game and Moses kind of has a bum game, then I do think they'll go back to Hines. But I do think, Edwards is probably the front runner for fullback jersey, and I think the only way they'll go. So just for the Broncos, I've got the players I'd really look at of not really many. If you wanted to roll the dice with a few of maybe Ricky, Staggs, Willison, or Kobe Hefferington, Ricky never really been a proven gun. It just seems like a waste of a trade, personally. Along with Staggs, he could come back to a proven gun. Do you think there's a bit of origin risk though for Staggs, or nah, not really?
I mean, he has played there before. It doesn't seem to be in the conversations. It seems like maybe Madge is more of a Iranian guy than a Stags guy. But I think at this point in the year, it's cheapies and guns and nothing else.
Yeah,
And I mean, the Broncos really only have two guns, and both of them are playing Origin. So I would just adopt a philosophy of ignoring everybody in a Broncos jersey until round 20, personally.
yeah, that's what I've done. And you could go for maybe a Willison or Kobe just because they'll get massive minutes in round 19, but it's not really worth it for that 1 week,
No,
that one good score.
no,
They're a
that's
pretty
exactly right.
irrelevant team in fantasy wise.
Yeah, come the business end, you'll be wanting Haas and or Carrigan in your team, but for now, you can go
Yeah.
without.
So for round 16, I'm targeting Wilton. He's been ruled out. So we've replaced him with Talakai. And then Ramian and Brayley. They'd only be the ones I'd go for. But with the round 16 bye, I'd probably let them go through. And no Nico Hines. Sorry, I would have Nico Hines in there in the bye picture also.
Yeah, obviously the hard thing with him is he's got 115 break even. The Dolphins aren't terrible, so I mean, even if he chucks up a 75 this week, he's going to drop a stack of cash and have a gigantic break even again. So he's probably not going to be, in an optimum buy position for that week. Obviously, there's a lot of teams running around, so I'm just having a look. So for me personally, I've got Sam Walker in my team, so he's going to feature in
Yeah.
my halves as one. I've also got KO Weeks and Jack Whiten in my team, so I'm sort of not really in the market for a half. So I think a lot of people probably have Weeks, and there's a couple of guys floating around like your Tedesco's and that sort of stuff. You might jump on, and I'm really hoping that I can pick Nico Himes up in the low 900s in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, my thinking is you get Nathan Cleary at 865K and
Yeah,
Nico Hines at about 900K. You pick them up both round 20 or round 21 for Nico because he's got the buy. You're set for the season. And then
100%.
you put them with one of Hughes, who I think will be a season long keeper.
Mhm.
Because my hope is that I can maybe get KO Weeks up to 650, 700K. And then I can move him
Mhm.
on to Cleary and then find another way to move on from another player to get to Hines.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, so in the Storm, you're really looking at Katoa, and I think Jerome Hughes is close to a must-have this week. And then,
Yeah, he's looking really, really good, Jerome Hughes.
yeah, Jerome's not looking unreal. And problem with Eli Katoa is I think he does need to try to score big. He's a great player, but who knows how many tries he scores with them being so good. Then I've got Pappenhausen if he is back round 16, which I don't think he will be. I think it's more 17 or 18. I'd have him as a target for round 16. And then, do you still think Wishart is a target at 503K?
We actually discussed that on the podcast last night as well. I think he definitely could be, given that you'll have him in the halves or wing fullback around 15, 16, 17, 18, probably 2021. You still got 6 or 7 weeks there. He's got a negative break even, so he's got a sort of a nice combination of scoring, floor ceiling, cash making, and maybe he's one that you jump on cheeky cash right up to Nathan Cleary if you can, or Nico. Obviously, the downside with him is he has scored a lot of tries recently, and Jerome Hughes is the top dog in that halves pairing. So you maybe, he might throw up a 30, 35 at some point and hold those price rises, but he looks really, really sharp.
Yeah, I don't know, because do you think you saw him next to Munster? He was the main half. But now, with Hughes being a running half and a kicking half, does his base just fall off too much that he needs those attacking stats? Like, what, you say anywhere from 20 tackles and then probably like 100 meters with not much kicking, 30 in base, like he still makes you money, but for 503K, you'd hope for a bit more in base, personally.
Yeah, I mean he's only sort of picking up 2 or 3 points a game in kick meters at the moment, which is not ideal. He really is just living off tries, try assists. He's got some pretty big tackle counts. He's a 20 plus tackle a game, half for 4 weeks in a row, which is a lot. A lot of halves get around in the 14, 15 tackles a
Yeah,
game area. So that is a nice little base there. And he does seem to be quite busy, have his hands on the ball a lot. He does run the footy a lot. 122 meters, 79, 62, and 125 in the last 4 games. So he probably, you could probably put him in the base range of sort of 30 to 35. But if he
yeah,
doesn't get those attacking stats and he manages to have a game where he racks up a couple of misses, you might find yourself with a 30 to 32 and a sharp stop on those price rises.
yeah. Well, personally for me, I'm not going there, but just because he's not a keeper for the season. Like you're
Mm.
gonna have to trade him out eventually because if you have Munster come back, he could move to the bench and then all of his price rises go. And I know my team has 5 trades after this week. I think like
Yeah.
everyone's just so low on trades. Just if you have probably 8 or more trades, I'd say go for it. But anything less, yeah, steer clear.
Cheapies and guns.
Yeah. So on to the Knights. I don't really think they're a very relative side. You see, the guy on my side, Dylan Lucas, been dropped to the bench. I don't think this will stay for very long. Maybe they're doing a Kai Pierce pull thing in him where they give him the week rest and then he comes back and kills it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be looking at Gagai, Lucas, and Sharp in this team. Do you think Fletcher Sharp holds a spot for long enough over Armstrong?
Well, I've traded Daniel Atkinson to Fletcher Sharp this week. That's my one trade that I'm doing, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think so. And then
Yeah.
I do agree that Gagai. I do think Gagai will be an absolute gun. You know what he
Oh,
can do.
he is a weapon. I mean, I'm pretty lucky with centers. I've got Karaz, Aitken, and Garrick all in my team already, so
Yeah,
I'm
same.
not sort of plus Iro, so I'm not really shopping for any centers at the moment. But if you are looking for a gun center, maybe a little bit of a point of difference to those with, the Aikens of the world. He's 100K cheaper than Aiken, which is nice and helpful. Obviously that missing round 16's kind of annoying, and then they do miss also like round 21 or something as well, but that's a standalone buy. So and there's not a huge amount of Knights that are relevant. So yeah, he's definitely a really interesting option for you if you can skip the round 16 buy.
Yeah, he's someone that always goes under the radar. Like he always averages about 50, 55 in fantasy and no one ever picks him up. And it's just very, very surprising. Uh,
Yeah.
so on the Panthers side, I don't really think there's really any you're targeting until round 20. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you got Scott Sorensen, who I am interested in just at his price tag, but I don't think you can go near there with, again, them not playing 16 and 19. And then I do agree. I do think that in round 20, Isaac Tungo becomes a very interesting option when Nathan Cleary's back. Like historically, he scores better with Cleary, and he could score about it could be 400K, and you could be picking up Tungo for 400K. What are your thoughts on him there?
Yeah, he's one I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I've got the little, the star on the app on him.
Yeah.
He's 469K, still with a high 40s break even. He's shed 200K for the season already. He is one that I'm absolutely keeping an eye on. Ideally, as maybe like an 18th man with some, looping upside or something like that.
Yeah, I think he could very much be a final team keeper, but again, do you really need those centers? Like, I mean, I've got Ero, Karaz, Garrick, Strange, and Ewan Aiken. That's just adding a 6th center. I know 3 of them are dual position. It's just not the best.
No.
But you see now to the Sea Eagles. I think Garrick will be a season-long keeper, and you got to get him in your side. He plays around 16 and 19. That dual position is just so crucial. But I am interested in Turbo when he comes back, along with Brooks at a bit of a discount. Luke Brooks, is there any interest in him at all?
No.
Yeah, I just
No.
I do think it's a bit
That
risky.
cheapies and guns, mate. Cheapies and guns.
Yeah,
He doesn't fit either of them. Daly Cherry Evans, he's just, he is a really ball dominant type player. Brooks is just, he's not giving you anything, you can get, he's not even like, if he had like a center duel or something like that, you might have a look, but probably not even then. I just think he's one of those players that's going to do a really, really good job with the Sea Eagles. But if the answer is Luke Brooks, you're probably asking the wrong question.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He is undervalued, maybe, but I wouldn't go there personally. And then
Yeah.
I do think when Turbo comes back from injury, he will do a job, but he's done it way too many times for us, Turbo. He's killed us way too many times. I just think Turbo's probably one you let go through the keeper with enough good wing fullbacks there.
Yeah, I haven't owned him since he broke out for fantasy in 2021. I haven't owned him at all in the entire time. So I'm very happy to continue that streak.
Yeah, I've owned him and I've captained him a couple of times this season.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, you see, he does one good play, and then the rest he
Yeah.
like looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so much of a plotter because he's such a weapon, but he just doesn't have the juice. I don't know what it is, but one player I noticed that you may have missed off your list there, maybe you want to lob it on there as a watch is Homole Olakuatu. I know
Yeah,
he's likely state of origin, but he's at 691K after peaking in the mid 700s, 84 break even. He was absolutely on fire. Manly are a team to watch coming into the finals. I think he's going to be a really interesting option for teams that are looking for a bench edge. Maybe he's a straight swap for a Kai Pierce-Paul or something like that if Pierce-Paul doesn't quite kick on or something like that. He's obviously got a 40 and a 12 in his rolling average now, so he's going to drop that 68 out at some point. And yeah, before at the start of the year, I actually started out 70, 54, 62, 57, 63, 56, 68. So he's got a lot of big scores there. I enjoyed owning him last year as well, and yeah, definitely one to keep on the watch list.
yeah, I do think he'll be a season-long keeper. I didn't have him in there because of Origin, but there is the chance that he gets dropped. I do think it'll be Hudson Young, but there is the chance that Ola Kawatu could get dropped, and you're buying him at a discount for his usual scoring with that 12 in his rolling average, as you said.
Mhm.
Yeah, onto the dog side. I mean, I wouldn't be buying any of these players next week or this week, but next week, I think for me, I'd only really be targeting King and Karaz. I do think that there's an ultimatum. Like you can go for a different player in at the hooking position, like a Cook or a Reed, a Cook or a Jeremy Marshall King. I would have over Reed, and then King's probably too expensive now. Karaz is very expensive, but are you still interested in him at all if you're not an owner of him?
Yeah, so I have all of King, Karaz, and Reed in my team. So I probably wouldn't be buying any of those players at their current prices.
Yeah,
Obviously, I've had King since Jamin Jolliffe got injured. So I pulled the Jolliffe to King trade, so that's been quite good for me. And then I've had Karaz the entire season, which has been really, really
yeah,
nice. And I
same.
picked up Reed as a swap for Reece Robson when Robson got named for Origin. But I'm a big fan of Karaz, but I think at this point there's not really any Bulldogs that I'd be looking to buy, particularly given that round 19 buy. Because for a lot of those guys, there's other people who also missed that round 19 who are playing this week who are better players. So, for example, like instead of King, obviously Tarpany is in that price bracket. He's only about 20K
Yeah,
more. Much prefer Tarpany. I think he's probably got 5 points upside over King. Likewise, I'm actually strongly considering trading Jacob Karaz to James Tedesco this week because I'm so confident that Tedesco is not going to be named, and I think that's a 5 to 10 point upgrade per week. Not to mention, I pick up a big score this week from Tedesco, and they both miss around 19. So
yeah.
I certainly not attacking any Bulldogs players.
That's a very interesting decision there. Yeah, I wouldn't go near any of them. I mean, I am a King, Karaz, and Preston owner, and I'm probably just trading the one of Preston to haven't decided yet. But I think Preston, he's a sell. Do you think 2 to 4 weeks doesn't sound very convincing? The 2 to 4 weeks either.
Yeah. But then even then, when he comes back, Kikau's due back at about the same time. Jamin Salmon seems locked onto one of those edges. He'll go back to the bench, and yeah, he was a short term cash upside scoring play that didn't work out. That happens sometimes in fantasy. You just gotta cut your losses and move on.
Yeah, I mean, he got it on as an 80, so you're pretty happy with that. But
Exactly.
so On the Eels side, I've really only got Moses, Brown, Hands, Guffo, and Cardi. I do think that Brown's probably one who could go through to the keeper now at his price and him back to 5'8". But I'd definitely say he's a hold for now.
Mm.
Along with Moses, are you looking to buy him? Doesn't play around 16. Like, you'd have Hughes over Moses, considering like Hughes has no origin risk. Moses does. Hughes is scoring better. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff to say Hughes over Moses.
Yeah, I think it really fits. It probably depends on how everything fits into your buy planning. I think between now and the end of the season, on averages, Moses is going to average more than Hughes, but total points, Hughes will score more total points.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on what you're looking for. If you're a head-to-head player, I would be sort of attacking probably a Moses or something, although he does miss around 20, which is kind of annoying. He is also 700k, so he's a decent amount cheaper than Jerome Hughes.
Yeah.
If Moses doesn't play State of Origin, I'll absolutely be looking at a Galvin to Moses trade next week,
Yeah.
or round 17.
Yeah. I don't personally think Moses will play, and I've had him since he made his return. He hasn't been playing his
Okay.
best, but everyone knows what he can do. Like you saw last week, he had that one play offload, line break, try assist, and he went from a 40 to a 57. So
Yeah,
I think he can pluck out 80 any week.
100%.
On the Raiders side, I got Weeks, Tarpany, Timoko, Rapana, and Smithies. Uh, I just think Weeks, everyone should have him and you hold him until Jamal Fogarty is back. It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Tarpany, someone I'm very interested in. I probably just can't fit in. I mean, there was a lot of talk about him, bit of a pod play. We know what he can do when he gets the minutes, and he always heats up in the origin period. Do you think that Tarpany is a very good buy this week?
Yeah, I've never owned Tarpany, and I've always watched his fantasy points with a lot of envy, and I've never had a chance to actually pick him up, or he's always been too expensive at the time when he got there. I think this is a really nice price for a guy who can bang out a 90 in 46 minutes without a try,
Yeah,
um, or a 30 in 46 minutes. So it's you are making a selection of a low floor, high ceiling option. He's not a Max King, or Jamin Jolliffe, Ruben Cotter, Cameron McInnes. These guys, they're gonna get you 38 to 55 points. Tarpany could get you anywhere from 27 to 95. It's just, he'll just turn up, he'll eat Cocoa Pops instead of Fruit Loops for breakfast one morning and decide to bang out a 90 with 17 offloads, and that's just who he is as a person. So, I'm a big fan of Tarpany if he makes sense for your team.
yeah. I do think Tarpany is a good option, but a bit inconsistent. Like I'd have probably
Mm.
the likes of a Tall or a Tohu, AFB, Plath, Stefano, like all for round 16. They're all going to be a bit more consistent than him. But I mean, he could go massive.
Yeah, once again, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. It really depends on what you're in the market for. Like when we were talking about the captains earlier. If you're
Yeah,
in the market for, somebody that's really fun to watch, and also he's got the low break even, he's the cheapest he's going to be for the rest of the year. Tarpany, and also there's not a lot of Raiders players that we want to own, like that list there. Obviously, Weeks we've already got. Tarpanay's good. I think all three of those other guys don't really fit into the guns or cheapies category either. But like a Tarpanese one where you do it, it gives you a good reason to watch Raiders games, and a really nice point of difference. I think he's under 1% owned in the top 5,000 teams.
yeah, I think
So
about that.
yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't really go near Timoko, Rapana, or Smithies. They're not guns, and I mean, they really never have been. Uh, I mean, if you buy Rapana, you're banking on a 35-year-old to score your points at fullback.
no, thank you. I'm 35 almost, and I know what my body's like, and I've seen what he puts his body through, and I wouldn't be relying on that for anything with how little trades we've all got left.
Yeah. Now to the Roosters. There's a lot of players in here you'd look at. I got Teddy, Manu, May, Walker, White, and then probably now Radley, not Butcher. I mean, as we said, I don't think Teddy makes origin, so I think it's wheels up if you're looking at him. He'll score you well. He's
Mhm.
underpriced. I mean, I brought him that game against the Broncos when he scored 72, and he's done me
Yeah.
well ever since. So I think,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good buy.
Yeah.
He will,
It's never a bad time to buy James Tedesco.
yeah. His team just needs him so much.
Yeah.
Joey Manu, I think he's a bit overpriced. Like you're buying a centre at 750K, not off like you're not buying a fullback or a 5'8" for Manu. You're buying a centre. You can pivot him around a centre wing fullback, but for me, it's a bit too expensive.
Oh, mate, yeah, particularly when you got, you and Aiken in a similar price bracket. You got, guys like Penasini down in the 550K range or Tungo in the 460K range who,
Yeah,
was a gun last year. I don't think there's any reason to go out and invest in Manu at this point.
nah, either. And then you got Terrell May. I think he was a player that if you held him since uh round 13, you're a gun. But you're not looking to buy him now. Like his minutes will fall off this week, and I just think that it's just you're kind of like pushing it as a buy, really. Like there's no guarantee you'll get big minutes in round 16 either. Do you think that it's just maze and avoid?
Yeah, I don't think he's a buy or a sell. So, like, obviously, if you're still hanging on to him, there's actually 10.5% of teams in the top 5,000 still got him in their team.
Yeah,
They'll be pretty happy. You're not selling him this week. You just trotting him out for another week. You'll trot him out in round 16 when Angus Crichton and Lindsay Collins go back to State of Origin. But yeah, no, he's just a player in your team until
yeah,
he's not. Hopefully, round 20, you can turn him into Isaiah Yeo or Payne Haas, and until then, just leave him there plugging away.
yeah. I agree. And then I think that the only real one you're looking here at is Walker, but I think his time's come. He's too expensive for me now, and that's pretty much
I have hated every single minute that Walker's been in my team.
yeah,
I hate it. I'm never buying him ever again. I've been wanting to sell him, but his schedule's too good and his break even's too low and his price is I like there is like I know I'm like I'm battling the like emotional and the logical part of my brain, and the logical part's going, oh, he's only 630K. There's still more money to make. He's probably gonna
yeah,
average 50 because they got a good draw or whatever. And I'm like on the other side, I'm like, he's just so annoying to watch because he scores in 20s. Like, when you're watching Nathan Cleary and he's just like chunking up the points, like that's kick meters, kick meters, kick
yeah,
meters, tackle, tackle, tackle. Sam Walker will be on like 5, 5, 5, and you'll click out of the browser, click back in, he's on 37, and you're like, what happened? But
yeah. I
yeah,
know.
no, it's so frustrating. So I definitely wouldn't be buying him at the price, but realistically, he is a hold for now. I'm really hoping to turn him into Sean Johnson in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'd be handy. Just with Sean, got 100 break even. I was looking at him at the
Mm,
start of the week, but that 100 break
yep,
even kind of really put me off him. Do you think,
yep,
again, if
yep.
you're going Hughes and Johnson, you're going with the Hughes, aren't you?
I made it. If they're the same price, I'm buying Sean Johnson.
Yeah,
But they're not. But if you can wait and just hang on to, like, I'd even look at like plug in Whiten and Weeks, or you plug someone like that into your halves. Like I've got Whiten and Sam Walker in my halves this week. I'm fine with that for the next couple of weeks. Sean Johnson in in a 750K bracket somewhere in there. I'll be all over him for Sam Walker. But for now, I'm happy to just let it ride.
yeah. I do think that Sean Johnson will be a season gun, but I mean, he could come out, score a 40, which isn't a bad score, and then you're getting Sean down at 700 and like 90K,
Yeah,
and that's a discount for Sean. And
100%.
but then you buy him around 16. That's what you need him for. Personally, I probably won't be going there with me holding Ethan Strange last week. I don't need the half for next week.
Yep.
So if you had to say your three best buys for the week, who are you guys putting as?
Oh, it's the three best buys for this week. In terms of upside and safety, I really do like Tarpany.
Yeah,
Um, I'm pretty comfortable with people buying Fletcher Sharp. Obviously not available in round 16, but comfortably the best player within 150K of his price point. I think, and that you basically there's a huge gap between him at 265K and like, Alex Johnson to Jack White and someone in that like, high threes, low fours. there's a big gap there. That 100K might come in really, really valuable. So, for example, going Atkinson to Sharp gives me 200K that I can now, I can use that to comfortably move Sam Walker up to Sean Johnson at some point. Or, if, Kai Pierce Paul gets rested or something, I can just go, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger on him to add Fanua Blake,
Yeah.
something like that. So having that bit of cash there, I think there's an intrinsic value in that, and he does look really, really sharp. Pardon the pun. He looks
Yeah.
really good. So I think he's going to go well between now and sort of round 20 to 22 when Ponga returns. Also, one player that we didn't discuss at all, who I was really, really hot on our